So, okay, so any idea how you do this one?
I can't do that.
Not sure?
No.
Let's see. So let's do it using algebraic division.
Yeah.
So you have x minus 2, bush shelter, make that a bit bigger, and then x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4. The way you do algebraic division is you only look at the x's. So x cubed divided by x, what do you get there?
X squared.
Yeah, so that goes on top, and then you times them both by x squared. And so what would you get times them both by x squared?
So what we times them by x squared?
The outside the bush shelter.
So x minus 2 times x squared.
Yeah.
X cubed minus 2x squared.
Minus 2x squared. And then you take them away. What are you left with?
Minus x squared.
So here you have x squared minus 2x squared.
So plus 3x squared.
That's it. And you'll notice, so we started off with an x cubed. Every time you do that, you'll get rid of the biggest one, so it'll keep getting smaller. Bring down the minus 4x and do it again. So how many x's into 3x squared? Or 3x squared divided by x, what do you get?
3x.
Yeah. So that goes on top. And then 3x times by what's outside and right underneath.
So 3x squared minus 6x.
Minus 6x. Yeah.
And then is there what happens next?
You take those away from each other.
Oh, right, yeah. So minus 3x squared minus 4x. Is that just 2x?
Well done. Well done. And then finally bring down the last one, minus 4. What do you get there?
2x minus. What are we doing? So times in by what's hard by?
Now you divide it in. So how many? So 2x divided by x.
Is it just x?
That would be 2x divided by x.
Or is it 2? Sorry.
Yeah. So plus 2, and so you multiply the outside by 2.
So 2x minus 4.
2x minus 4, and so we get no remainder. So what that shows us is that this cubic expression, x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4, that can be written as, so what was outside was x minus 2, and the answer, or they call it the quotient, is x squared plus 3x plus 2. So you can use that to factorize. And actually, could you factorize that double bracket into a double bracket?
Yeah, it would take me a while, but I'll give it a go on.
Yeah, so just like it was a quadratic without anything else, x squared plus 3x plus 2.
No, I can't think. Sorry.
So you need two numbers. They multiply to give 2 and add to give 3.
Right, so 1 and 2, sorry.
Yeah, so you've got 1 and 2, And what times what will make x squared?
X times X.
So that's x and x. And what will be the signs?
Both plus, so plus.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's part of the reason why you use algebraic long division. It's so you can factorize something that's higher than a quadratic, like a cubic, quartic, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a pretty involved process. The factor theorem makes it a bit quicker and easier. We'll use that and hopefully it'll be quicker. You know when you solve a quadratic, so imagine you had a quadratic and it was x minus 2 and then there was some other bracket and it's equal to 0. What would be the answer for this one?
X equals plus 2, sorry.
Yeah.
X equals plus 2.
X equals 2 and then you would get some other answer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know how to solve a quadratic has to be equal to 0?
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is when you sub in 2 for x, you get 0.
Yeah.
The way you can show that x minus 2 is a factor is you sub basically x equals 2. If that's one of the factors, then x equals 2 is a solution. And so you sub in 2 for x. Do you have a calculator on you?
Yeah.
So sub in 2 for x and see what you get.
So 2. Or 0.
And that's what you should get. And so you say x minus 2 is a factor. So x equals 2 is a solution. Sub in 2 for x and it equals 0. Therefore, x minus 2 is a factor.
Yeah.
And that shows you that x minus 2 divides in one go. I said I'd show you a third way. Do you have this calculator? Or a simpler one? Can you see the calculator on the screen?
Hello, sorry, I just lost you there.
Okay. Can you see the calculator on the screen?
Yeah, I can see that now.
Is that the one that you have?
I've got a Casio.
Okay. So you can't do the third way.
No.
Okay, that's easier. So rather than divide it, we'll use factor theorem. Any idea how you could fully factorize this?
Is it that just putting into brackets?
Yeah. And any idea how you'd go with that?
Would you take a common factor and bring it outside the brackets?
So the problem is x would have been the common factor except for the minus 9. There's no x on it.
No, I'm not too sure again.
So the way you do it is you sub in different numbers for x, and when you find one that gives you 0, then that you can use that to get a factor. So it's similar to what we just did. So sub in different numbers in your calculator. Start with the easier ones: 0, 1, 2, minus 1, and go from there.
We'll see. I seem to be getting further away from 0.
Try
Further up, yeah.
try 3.
3. I've just done 2. Yeah, 0.
So equals 0. So what that tells you is that x equals 3 is a solution. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
What if you were doing a quadratic? If you got the answer x equals 3, what was in the bracket?
X minus 3.
Well done. So x minus 3 is a factor. So what that tells you is that you have one bracket will be x minus 3. What would be the second bracket at the start?
X.
Not just x. It would have to be x
X 2x squared.
Yeah. What would be the last number?
3. Positive 3 plus 3.
Yeah. And then you would have to figure out what goes in the middle. And you could just call that plus b. And you could figure that out. I'll give you a quicker way. So go to press mode on your calculator.
Yeah.
And you see table. I think it might be 3. So press that. And then you just put in the equation. So the red alpha at the top gives you the red ones. And on right bracket, you have an x. So just put it in exactly. 2 alpha right bracket. I'll give you 2x. Then you put in cubed and all that.
Oh, yeah. Plus. Yeah. And press equals.
Press equals. So let's start from -5, let's say.
Right, -5. Yeah.
Let's say end at +5.
Yeah.
And we'll go up in steps of 1.
Perfect.
So you can keep pressing down. Can you see any x that gives you a 0?
Yeah.
What is it?
-3.
Yeah. So when you sub
That's what
in,
we've got.
so keep scrolling down. What else do you see?
There's +3 as well.
So that we have the +3. So it turns out x equals -3 is a solution. So what is the second factor?
X equals 3.
No, close. In the bracket, if one of
Well,
the answers,
X plus 3.
yes, x plus 3. And so if we go back to our bracket, we had x minus 3. We now have x plus 3. And so what must be the last bracket?
I'm not sure.
So, well, x times x, what does that give you?
X squared.
And so x squared times what will give you 2x cubed?
2x.
So that's 2x. And then
Yeah.
what about the number?
1.
What number? So -3 times what will give you -9?
What did you say? Sorry.
So -3 times
Yeah.
3 times what gives you -9?
So -3 times 3 is -9.
And so -9 times what gives you -9?
Times 1.
Yeah, so that's +1.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, using that method, you can factorize it quickly. So you don't have to use the algebraic long division. So you can do it the long way, which is just trying in different x's. When you get one that's 0, you do x and the opposite sign, that number. That's one of the brackets. And you can go from there. Or you can use a table method. We'll do this. Okay, how would you do this?
So which one was the factor theorem?
So that's the one we just did where something is a factor, therefore something is a solution.
Right, so can I put it on my calculator what's there now and then look for what value of x gives me 0?
Yeah, you'll do that for part B. For part A, there's a kind of specific way of going about it. So you just say
x plus 2, x equals minus 2.
Yeah, and the way you say it is x plus 2 is a factor, which is what they told us.
Yeah, so x equals minus 2 is that solution.
Yeah, and so for this question, it's a show that question, so you have to kind of, do it the long way. If x equals minus 2 is a solution, how do you show that x equals minus 2 is a solution? Or what does that mean?
Does it mean that when you put minus 2 as x, then you'll get 0?
Correct. So you just put minus 2 for x, and you just then say it's equal to 0. Hang on. Minus 6 equals 0. Therefore, just copy and paste what they asked you to show, that x plus 2 is a factor. And if you put that into your calculator, you would get 0. But I'm not going to bother because they told me it will give me 0.
Yeah.
Okay, part B. Now you have to factorize completely. So now you would use your table method for that.
Yeah. Are we doing start at minus 5 and end at 5 again?
Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it.
So I've got minus 2.
Okay.
Yeah, just minus 2.
So x equals minus 2 is a solution. Therefore,
X plus 2.
So x plus 2 is a factor. Okay, so how do we use that to factorize it? That's the one they already gave us, actually, isn't it?
F of x complete. X plus 2 is a factor.
So how do you... X plus 2. Okay, so yeah, how can you use that to factorize it?
I can't remember what we just did.
So one bracket will be x plus 2. That's one factor.
Right, yeah.
And then how about the second bracket?
Is that going to be x minus 2?
Well, the next one would have to be, so x times what will give you...
yeah, it equals the 4x cubed, so it's 4x squared.
Yeah. And then let's say the number at the end.
Minus 3.
Minus 3. And then you've got the bit in the middle. I just want to see... we could try other numbers like further. I just want to see this one. So there's a quicker way. Polynomial 3. Must be a sec. Just gonna try something.
All right.
That's why. It's because, so yeah, this one is bx. Okay, plus bx. How would you get, when you expand these brackets, let's say, how would you get an x squared when you expand these brackets? What times what will give you an x squared?
X times x.
Okay, so where is there an x times another x? So here's
the x times in the bx, you get bx squared.
Yeah, anywhere else?
When the x times is the 4x squared, you get 4x cubed. It's not 4x squared.
So anywhere else you'll get an x squared?
There's the 4x squared.
So that times what will give you...
times the 2, so 8x squared.
That's it. So what do you know about what x squared are we supposed to get? In the question.
The 4x squared.
That will have to, when we expand these brackets, that will have to make 4x squared. And so basically, if you divided everything by x squared, just to make it a bit simpler, you don't have to, but basically b plus 8 equals 4. How would you get b, or what is it?
So b minus 4.
So b must be minus 4, and so we have then factorized that. That is 4x squared. I'll leave it as bx. So then factorized, one was x plus 2, and then the other is 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. And then you go from there. The problem is this one, you'd have to use the quadratic formula to solve it.
Right.
When you press mode on your calculator, what comes up? Is it just like 3 or 4 options?
4 options, yeah. Comp, stat, table, and vary.
And this is the calculator you use in school, is it?
Well, it's at college I borrow a graphical calculator, but I still need to buy one.
I would, if I were you, so if you can't get a graphical one, then this one, 991EX, is good, because you shouldn't really be having to solve quadratics. Basically, if you put that into your calculator, you get the solution.
Right.
And it will just give you the solution. So my one just gave me the solutions for it. So we knew x equals minus 2. I think another one was x equals 3 over 2, and the other one was x equals minus 3 over 2, and x equals a half. And so yeah, you shouldn't be spending your time doing those. You should be just getting the solutions.
X minus 2. So if x minus 2 is a factor, then x equals 2 is a solution.
Yeah. And so we just have to factorize this out. You just use your table method for that.
Right, yeah. Minus 4 and 2. The 2 that come up.
So x equals minus 4. And we don't know what the third one is yet. So factors, what will be the brackets then?
So x equals minus 4. No, sorry, x equals x plus 4.
So one is x plus 4.
And then one's x minus 2, yeah.
One is x minus 2. And so the last one?
Must be, is it 2x? Oh yeah. Four times. That's 2 is minus 8. Sorry, it just keeps 8. You get plus 8. So is it 16 plus 16?
Well, it needs to make plus 8. So what would go here?
So 4 times minus 2 is minus 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Minus 8 times what gives you plus 8?
I don't
know. What is minus 8 divided by 8? Mm-hmm.
Minus 1.
Minus 1, that's it.
Right.
So in the same way that you did with the 2x, you just say what multiplies to get you that. And I should just show you my calculator. So 2x cubed, 3x squared, minus 18x, and then plus 8. And so one solution it gives, so the calculator, I don't even have to do trial and error, it just gives it to you. One is minus 4, so you know factor is x minus 4, x plus 4.
Yeah.
So that gives x minus 2. And then this one, it says it's a half. And so you work backwards from that. And so you say x equals a half. So 2x equals 1. So the bracket is, 2x minus 1. So you work backwards. So okay, so let's try fully factorizing this. So
right, yeah.
Exact same as the previous one. Hopefully it's the last one. Equals minus 3 over 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So x equals minus 3 over 2. X equals 5 over 2. And then x equals 2. Okay, x equals 2. Okay, so what would be the factor for this one?
For which one, sorry, did you point out?
We'll do them in reverse order.
Okay, so x minus 2.
So that's x minus 2. Any idea about the one in the middle?
Is it? It's in the back of my head. I can't.
So you have to make it equal to 0. How would you make that equal to 0? And not have any fractions. Because a factor can't be a fraction.
I'm stuck.
To get rid of a fraction, you'd times everything by the denominator.
Right.
So times both sides by 2. What do you get there?
You get 10 over 4.
And what is, well, 2 is just the same as 2 over 1. 2 divided by 1.
2, sorry.
So 5 over 2 times 2 over 1
is 10 over 2, which is
yeah,
5.
Yeah, so times it by denominator just gets rid of it.
All right, yeah.
What's on the left side?
The left side of.
So if you times it by 2.
Oh, 2x, sorry.
And now how do you make that equal to 0?
So just float and ping there.
Sorry?
I'm just trying to think, sorry.
So yeah. So at the moment it's equal to 5.
No, I don't know, sorry.
So to get rid of the 5, you do minus 5 both sides.
All right, yeah.
And so what do you now have on the left side?
2x minus 5.
And so what is the bracket for this one?
2x minus 5.
Yeah. So exact same thing, one on the left.
Okay, so times by -2, you get -3.
Yeah.
So.
And what's on the left side?
Sorry, I can't see. 2x again.
And then?
-3. 2x -3, sorry.
So it's a -3 on the right side.
Oh, 2x plus 3.
And so what is the bracket there?
2x plus 3.
And so what is that expression fully factorized?
Yeah.
So that one that we had in the previous one, so this one that we were looking at, what is this now fully factorized? What are the three brackets?
There was 2x plus 3.
Yeah.
2x minus 5 and x minus 2.
So that one, yeah. So for the hardest type of questions, the one where it doesn't easily factorize, where you'd have to use the formula, you can use your calculator to just solve it, and then you can use your solutions to work backwards to factorize it.
Okay.
In the same way you did. So you didn't have any idea with the middle one, and I showed it to you, and then you did the one on the left like quite quickly. Okay, I'll just do a quick recap. Okay. So the factor theorem. Okay, so algebraic long division. It's long division, but with algebra, but with letters.
Yeah.
How did we get the x squared?
What? The x times x. We minus the.
Or how do you always divide? What do you do?
No, I can't remember.
So you always compare the two x's. So divide, let's say the highest power of x. I suppose just the first x. Divide first x inside the bus shelter by the x outside.
Yeah.
Then you do answer times by the outside. Underneath. And then I suppose I should say yeah, wait until finished.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, so yeah, algebraic division is a way to, it can be helpful for factorizing an expression. A quicker way to factorize an expression, if it was just x squared, it wouldn't be too bad. A quicker way would be to, well, how could you factorize, how could you find factors for a cubic expression?
Could you see?
So if you had to factorize this, how would you go about it?
I'd start with. No, I don't know.
So you would try different numbers for x, until you find one that gives you 0. And then what would you do?
Once I'd found one that gives me 0,
so let's say if it was like x equals 3, gives you 0.
X equals 3 gives you 0. Then you'd find the factor.
And so if it was 3, then what would be the factor?
Minus 3. X minus 3.
Yes. And then you use that to factor it. And so usually they'll give you 2 easier ones, and then the last one is trickier, like 2x plus 1 when x is a half or minus a half, something like that.
Yeah.
So you can do it by trial and error with different numbers, and then an even better way is the table method, where you just put this into your calculator. So like mode table, insert, type in the equation, and best to start at -5 and stop at +5, because any more than that in the calculator can't handle it.
Right, yeah.
Step 1. And then you'll get, let me just see this one. Nope. So that one, okay. And so this one, we got 2 factors. So we said one solution was x equals 2, one was x equals -4. So that tells us we've got x minus 2, we've got x plus 4 as brackets. And then to get the third bracket, how did we get 2x for the third bracket?
It was, we looked at what there was in the question,
yes,
which was 2x cubed, and looked at what we need to times the first 2 by the what do we times the first 2 to get to the what's in the question.
That's it. How did we get the -1?
The same way. So we looked at the +8 and what the +4 times -2 gives -8, and -8 divided by 8 is -1.
That's it. So you got the 2x very easily, and then you weren't sure about the -1, but it's the exact same thing. So for the first one, you're looking at the highest power of x, and for the last one, you're looking at just the number.
Right.
And then everything else in the middle will work itself out, will be correct.
Yeah.
The best possible way of going about it is if you were to put this into your calculator, and your calculator just solves it for you. It would just give us x equals 2, x equals -4, and x equals a half, and you would just work backwards and get the 3 brackets from that. And so we did that with this one, the hardest one, where you just work backwards to make it equal to 0, and then that must be the